Hey, this is going to be a lower body stretch mobility class. I'm going to use a yoga block and a yoga strap. You can use a band as well if you don't have a yoga block, or you could use a roller for a lot of the stretches. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start on our back with the yoga strap. And if you have a thick band, just make sure that it doesn't have too much stretch in it. Okay, so you're going to stay on your back with your knees bent, feet on the floor. And then arms can be cactus arms, or if you would like, you can put them behind your head to get a passive stretch on your chest. And you just slowly let your knees fall from one side to the other, just opening up the hips. Your goal is to keep the shoulders on the ground, your left hip, right hip, the opposite hip can come raised up as you let the knees fall from side to side. Just nice and easy, just a nice little sway. Then bring your knees back to the center. You're going to bring them in towards your chest and you're going to curl your tail under. So you're trying to squeeze your knees in towards your chest as much as you can and stretch out the low back. And then lower one foot down and then lower the other foot down. You're going to take the strap and put it just below the toes. So just on the pad of your foot, and then raise the leg above your head. Now, if you have tight hip flexors, you're going to keep your knee bent like this. If you straighten your leg and it's floating, that means you have tight hip flexors. So bend it again. If you're able to extend it and it's able to lay flat, then extend it. Now, from here, hopefully your strap or your towel is long enough that your elbows can rest on the floor. So there's no tension in your neck. You're not pulling with the biceps. We're pulling with about five, I would maybe say 3% of your energy, your power. It's just a light, little bit of a pull to get a little bit more of a stretch on the leg. So before you even think about pulling towards your face, I want you to straighten the leg out like you're trying to reach it up towards the ceiling. So you're trying to make it as long as possible, and that's going to straighten the knee. If your leg is down here and that's where it's straight, that's totally fine. Go with what you have. We're really looking for a straight knee. And then from there, I want you to look at your hips. Have your hips turned and twisted? So lift the left hip back up, straighten the right, bring the right hip down so they're straight, and then readjust if you need to. Now flex the ankle so your toes are coming towards your face and your heel is reaching up towards the ceiling. So see if you can get a little bit longer on the leg. So we haven't even pulled it in towards our face, and you should already be feeling a stretch in the back of that leg. Okay, now if you need more, I don't need any more, but if you do, you can give it a slight pull towards your face to intensify that stretch. If your right hip lifted up, you got to pull it back down. If your knee bent, straighten it back up. And if you try to extend at the ankle, flex again. Okay, so you need to keep all those before you think about pulling the leg in towards the face. Now, the next movement is going to be very tiny, very minor. You're going to put both ends of the band in your right hand, and you're going to slowly let it come out to the side. Now, if your left hip comes off the ground, you've gone too far. So you're going to keep allowing it to go out to the side until you feel like, yeah, there's a stretch in my groin and in the hamstring. That feels pretty good. If you need to hold on with two hands, if your leg went pretty far, you can hold on with two hands to support it. Now, don't lose that extension. So you're pushing the heel into the band, right? So you're trying to reach it out long. You're trying to make your right leg as long as you possibly can. So push into that band using it. So the band is more to support your leg than it is to being pulled forward. So you're trying to always make that leg as long as you possibly can. And now slowly bring it back to the center. And we're going to put one band in each hand. You're going to pull a little bit more with the right. So your foot's going to turn outwards to the right. And you're going to feel a little bit more stretch on the inner part of your shin, your calf. Your knee is still straight and the ankle still flexed. You're still trying to reach that heel up towards the ceiling, making that right leg long. And then we're going to pull a little bit with the left hand. So your foot's going to turn inwards and you're going to feel stretch on the outer part of your shin. Can you make that leg a little longer? So if the leg gets long, you're not lifting the right hip. The hip stays down, the heel goes up. So you're feeling like you're stretching through the heel and the hip in both directions, like an elastic band. Come back to the center. Now, one more here. Put the band in your left hand and let it swing across your body. Now, that's as far as I can go before my right hip comes off. So I'm going to come back just a little bit, push the hip down into the floor. I'm going to feel stretch on my right IT band, so the outside of that right quad. I'm going to imagine that I'm straightening my leg a little further, trying to get the heel a little bit higher towards the ceiling and your toes coming towards your nose. So this should make you maybe feel a little nauseous. It's an intense stretch on the outer part of your thigh. Breathe through it. And I barely come back center. So I'm just slightly off of center. And that is enough. If your hip comes off, you've gone way too far. Okay, come back to the center. Let's throw one more in here. You're going to keep that band in your left hand and you're going to bend the knee and you're pulling this right foot towards your left shoulder. So again, your shoulder's always on the floor, your arms are relaxed. So it's just a little bit of a pull. So this is a start of a figure four, okay, without having to use the other leg. If you would like to, you can reach out to your foot if you've got that flexibility. If your head comes up, you don't have the flexibility. So just use the band. With your right hand, you're going to pull the right knee in towards your chest and at the same time, keep turning the foot towards the shoulder. If you would like to pull a little bit to the side, you can. But if, again, if that right hip comes off, you're going to lose the stretch. So right hip goes down into the ground, knee towards your chest. So right knee towards the right shoulder. Breathe. Okay, while you've got that band, you're going to take it off your foot. You're going to put your foot on the floor, knee up, and then bring your left knee up onto the floor, your heel onto the floor, knees up towards the ceiling. And then just slowly windshield wipe your knees one more time, like we did in the beginning. Okay, now the left side. So you're going to take that band and put it just below the toes, straighten out the leg, and then extend the right leg if you're able to. Okay, so we're going to do that full setup on this side as well, because I know you've forgotten a lot of them. Elbows are on the floor. First goal is to straighten out the knee, heel towards the ceiling. So reach the heel up, left hip down, heel up, left hip down, flex so that your foot is coming towards your nose. Okay, so you're flexing at the ankle. Then, if you have any more give in the leg, you can slightly pull it towards your face. Breathe. So you should be looking for just a gentle pull, nothing too intense. The IT band is probably the one exception because it just always feels a little yucky. Okay, now put both bands in your left hand, and we're slowly going to let it come to the left. Keep pulling the left hip down into the floor. Your right heel is reaching up towards the ceiling, and you're pulling that towards your face all at the same time. Again, if you need to use two hands, hold on to two hands. So you're really driving that foot into that band. This is why we want something that doesn't have too much of a stretch, because you're using that to help support your leg and make it longer. We come back to the center and then we're going to work the calf. So you've got one band in each hand. Pull a little bit more with the right hand, and that's going to turn your foot inwards. So you should feel stretch on the outer shin. Knee is still straight, heel is still reaching up towards the ceiling. Now I'm going to pull a little bit more with my left hand. So now the foot is turning outwards. I actually don't have much flexibility in the ankle, so there's not much to view here, but I can feel the stretch on the inner part of my shin. Okay, back to center. Now we have that yucky one, the IT band. Both ends of the band go into the right hand. You keep pulling it towards your face. Heel is reaching out towards the ceiling as you slowly bring it across. Now that's as far as I can go. My left hip is coming off the ground. So I'm going to pull the left hip back down to keep the stretch and then just hold it in that position, trying to get the heel out, pulling the toe towards your nose. Straighten that knee. It doesn't need to be a big range of motion to get that IT band. Last breath. Now you're going to bend your knee and pull the band towards you. So your foot is coming towards your opposite shoulder. So left knee towards the right shoulder. And then your left hand can grab onto that left knee and pull it in a little bit more. If you have the flexibility, you can grab onto the foot instead of the strap and then pull it into that assisted figure four stretch. Now I count my breaths because it reminds me to breathe. If you do deep inhales, deep exhales, that will help you get into the stretch a little bit deeper. Every time you exhale, that's when you want to put a little bit more effort, a little bit more of a push or pull on the leg, on the stretch, so that you can get into a little bit deeper. Okay, now you've got the strap, you can take it off, and you're going to put your foot on the floor. Bring your other foot to meet it, so both feet are on the floor, and then take them off of the mat and let your knees fall in together. So now we're getting some internal rotation on the femurs and a little bit of passive stretch here. The, as you can see, my legs are quite far out. If that's too intense for you, bring them in closer. So the further out they are, the more intense the stretch is going to be. And then we're just going to do the opposite. And put the soles of your feet together and let your knees fall out to the side. Again, I have quite flexible hips, so my knees go quite far down. If this is uncomfortable for you, you can grab your yoga blocks or pillows and put them underneath your knees to support them a little bit so the gravity doesn't pull them down so intensely. Breathe here. So I'm going to get into the quads using the strap as well. So I find this easy. Some people find it really complicated, where I like to put my right foot into the strap and then make it quite tight. From here, you bend the left knee, bend the right foot, keep the tension on the band, and you roll over onto your left side. If you keep the left knee bent, that will help with your balance. You don't fall over. Now, I'm not trying to get my heel towards my bum. That's not really the goal. I'm pulling it so it's tight. I'm going to lower the knee down so it's parallel to the floor, so it's not up here. I'll drop it down, and then I kick my foot into my hand. So I'm working towards kicking the foot into the band, sorry, not my hand, band, and moving my knee further and further away. So you can see it going back. So it's not going up, it's going back. So I'm going to get a hip flexor stretch on the front of that right quad, so into my abs, and a quad stretch as I kick into the band. So I'm using 5% of my energy. It's not an intense kick. I'm holding it over top of my shoulder, so it's not super intense on the arm to hold on to. Now from here, you're going to bend the knee. I'm going to take the band off of your foot and we're going to come up. So our left knee is bent. So lift yourself up. So we've got the left knee bent. We're sitting on our left butt cheek. The right knee is bent as well. Okay. So from here, we're going to get a stretch on the glute. So it looks very similar to the figure four, where you're going to walk forward until you feel a stretch on that left glute. If you want to come down to your elbows, you can do that. If you want to stay up a little bit higher, then you can stay there as well. This knee can be wherever feels comfortable for you. If this is not working and you don't feel stretch, you can bring the knee in a little bit closer so the knee is right behind your hip instead of out to the side. So find something that works for your hip when you still feel like you're getting that glute stretch. Okay, we're going to come up. We're going to stay in this position and we're going to walk our hands back behind. So now we're going to try to get a stretch on this quad. Now my quads are quite flexible, so I'm going to go quite far. Now this might be as far as you go and you're like, that feels good. If you want to keep going, you can go down onto your elbows. You're going to push that knee down into the floor and you can lift the hip up. So you're driving the hip up, pushing the knee down as you get that stretch on the right quad. Okay, we come back up. You're going to switch legs. So now our right knee is bent. I'm just going to change the view. And your left leg is back here. So, same idea. Each leg is going to be slightly different. So, if you want to just lean forward and feel where that feels like, you're like, I don't feel that, or that bothers my knee, you're going to readjust. So, I'm going to get my knee just directly above my hip so I can get that stretch on my glute on this side before I lean forward. And then we're going to come on up. Now we lean back. So we're getting that stretch on that left quad. So feel it out. Does this feel good? Is that feeling okay for the quad? And then you're going to start to work your way down onto your elbows if you feel comfortable. Last one. Okay, come on up. Now we still need to do the quad stretch on this left side. We already did the right. So this one's a little bit easier to get into. We're already sitting up. You're going to place the band around your foot. Make sure it's tight so we don't lose the band. And then lay down on your right side. Right knee is bent to support. And then we bend the left knee. And then you can pop that band over top of the shoulder. Okay. Now, kicking our foot into the band, that is the goal. Knee stays down, and then start to work your leg back further and further away from your midline. Kicking the foot into the band. Breathe. Two more breaths. Keep kicking. So stretching is not necessarily passive. You are working. You are thinking about pushing into something, elongating something, pulling something down. So even though we have the strap to assist us, we are still working. You can take the strap off the foot, and we're going to take the yoga block and you get to lay on your back. Now I'm going to put the yoga block on the second height and lift up your hips into a bridge and then place that yoga block just underneath your sacrum, the bony parts of your pelvis, and then lay your body down onto it. Hands can go onto the floor beside you. And you're just going to enjoy a little bit of a stretch here. Now, if at any point in time this starts to irritate your hips or your back or it just doesn't feel good, lower it down to the second or the first height. So just drop it down or just take it away completely. A roller works nice for this as well, especially for the next part when we get into the hip flexors. You don't feel like you're going to fall off the roller as much as you feel like you're going to tip off of the block. So we're going to get into some deeper hip flexors here. You're going to bend the right knee and bring it in towards your chest. Now, if you cannot grab onto your shin because it's too far away, you're going to grab onto that band and we're going to wrap it around the shin. And then you get to pull it in like that. Okay. So now this is a nice way to keep your neck relaxed. Pull the knee in towards your chest. Now I would like everybody to straighten out your right leg. So now if it's hovering, now we're going to actually see if we can get a stretch on it. So we're going to allow gravity to pull it down. So if it's hanging up here, that's totally fine. Hopefully, as we stay here, it'll eventually reach the floor. Now, if your heel is touching the floor like mine, then what we're going to work on is getting a deeper stretch. And everybody is going to do this. You're going to bring your knee in towards your chest tight. You're going to reach your heel like you're trying to reach it out of the socket and to the back of the mat. Pull the right knee in towards your chest a little bit more. Reach the heel, straighten the leg. Try and reach it out as far as you can. Bring the knee in towards your chest just a little bit tighter. And then one more time. Reach with your left foot. Good. Bend the left knee, put the foot on the floor. Take the band out if you use the band. If you're using the band, just use it for the other side. If you didn't have the band, you don't need it. We're going to bend the left knee, bring it in towards your chest, and pull it in nice and tight. Extend the right leg. Okay, so we're doing that same thing. So left knee comes in towards your chest, straighten out the right leg. Left knee in towards your chest, straighten out the right leg. Left knee in. See if you can get your leg longer. So I've got a little bit of movement every single time. Bring it in a little tighter and then reach as much as you can. Good. And then release the tension on the band. And you're going to place your right foot on the floor. Put your left foot on the floor. Put the band off to the side. Lift up your hips. I'll take the block away. And then lower your hips back down. You're going to bring your knees in towards your chest and then to your armpit. So it's going to be quite wide. So the heels are going to stay together as much as you can, and then knees up into the armpit, and see if you can round your back all the way out. So you're trying to make yourself into a little bit of a ball shape. So stretching out that lumbar spine. You're going to place your feet on the floor. Get hands on the floor. See if you can touch your heel. Excellent. Bring them in so you can. Hands on the floor. You're going to imagine you have a tail. I want you to imagine that you're curling the tail up. So you're going to work your low abs a little bit. You're going to curl yourself up so you're in a bridge. Now imagine, we're going to get a stretch on the quads. Imagine that your quads, your tops of your legs are reaching out towards your knees. So there's going to be no tension on your neck or your shoulders. You're reaching out, trying to stretch out the tops of your legs. Imagine that you have that yoga block in between your thighs. So you're not touching, but you're feeling that your thighs are rolling slightly inwards. Good. Now put a little bit more pressure on the big toe. Squeeze your bum. Good. Now to curl the tail under, and then you're going to lower one vertebrae at a time, very, very slowly back down. Once you get to the bottom, lay your bum on the floor. And then curl your tail, imaginary tail, back in again so your bum comes off. And then slowly peel yourself all the way up, back into that bridge again, nice and high. Imagine that your weight's going into your knees. So you're driving your hips up and forward towards the knees. Curl your tail back under, lower yourself back down. I really like these to stretch out the low back, stretch out the quads. We're going to do one more. Really slow. Curl the tail. So you got to squeeze your bum to do that. Lift your hips up nice and high. Good. Imagine that we're squeezing the block. So internally rotate at the femur, at the quads. So your hips are going up. Then curl your tail back under and then lower one vertebrae at a time. Nice and slow. Slow, 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 slow. Excellent. Good. Lower it back down. Good. Last one, we're going to do a little bit of a spinal twist. So you're going to lift your hips up and bring them over to the left slightly and drop them down. And then let your knees fall to the right. So when they fall to the right, your spine is now straight again. If this is enough of a stretch, you're going to stay here. If you'd like a little bit more, you're going to pick up your right foot and put it on top of your left knee to push the left knee down. Okay, so we're getting a big stretch on the hip flexors one more time, low back of this left side. Arms can be wherever feels comfortable. Big inhales, big exhales. You're going to take that foot off of the knee and then very slowly bring them back up to the center. Lift your hips up and center them again. Okay, now lift your hips up to the right, put them back down, and let your knees fall to the left. If you want that extra, you're picking up that left foot, placing it on top of the right knee to push the knee down. And breathe. Last breath. You're going to take your foot off of the knee, put your foot on the floor, bring your knees back up to center, bring your hips back to center, and then just gently windshield wiper them one last time each way. We're going to finish with a short breathing exercise. You can keep your knees bent, you can straighten them out, or if you would like to have one more stretch, you're either going to do the internal rotation of the femur like this, or the external where the soles of your feet are together and the knees off to the side. Okay, so you're going to pick one. One hand's going to go on the belly, one hand's going to go onto the chest as comfortably as you can. Elbows should be on the floor. So if that's uncomfortable, then just put them on your belly. Okay. So from here, you're going to fill up the belly, fill up the lungs, and then we're going to hold that breath. And then we're going to exhale, release it all, hold again. So it's just a square breathing, box breathing, whatever you want to call it, just to calm the nervous system and to make sure that you start your day fully relaxed. So, not a big count. If you want to do longer or shorter, please do your own count. Okay, so you're going to inhale, hold, exhale, hold, inhale, hold, exhale, hold, inhale, hold. Exhale. Hold. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold. Last one. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold. And then relax. Breathe normally. Thank you for joining me for this gentle lower body stretch on Main Island.